whoever they want to be every day. And when we keep people to the past in the present moment, they can't be different. We're holding up the progress of time and everything. It's like there's no love or connection. It's like what I wanted to say about this. I'm looking at this whole thing right here. This document is you made the bot, right? You put your topics in. It gave an output for the content for the episode. When you put your bot instructions in, that's what I wanted. Was thinking. My question was thinking, what were you thinking, or your ways of like your ideas, or whatever it was that you put into the bot for the instructions? That's what I wanted to get from you. Is like, what was your mentality thinking? What were you thinking? What was your vision? Whatever you want to call that. That's what I was curious around. That makes the bot think whatever it's going to be thinking and doing with whatever you put in for topics. That's what just came in my mind right now. And thanks for letting me say that.
Joe, we got what's on your mind. Welcome to the Black Glasses Podcast with me, Angel, Mr. Brian Patrick White. Give him some love, Mr. BP, and Mr. Joe CD. So you just got some insight, Joe, just checking in as we're organizing ourselves, creating a podcast. Joe looking at, hey, what's going on behind the lens? And so it's clear out there, right? We use ChatGPT to support us to create and help format and organize these conversations for us. So Joe's just trying to get an idea of what's behind the lens there. So that's what we're talking about. So cool, man. So Mr. Brian Patrick White, what's on your mind this morning?
Oh, equanimity. That's been I've painted it all over the walls in the house here. Communication breakdowns and then working through them when they come up. And I believe we're at number six. This is number six for the Black Glasses podcast, and just ready right here to roll with what comes up and what we've got on our agenda today. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, as people out there, if anyone's listening. Yeah, right, Joe? If anyone's listening yet,
Somebody on Proxima Centauri is listening.
someone's listening, or they'll be listening soon. What we're going to do on this podcast is we're going to look at what's on our mind, right? We're just normal, everyday, hardworking people trying to figure life out while it's lifing. And we're going to bring up topics, we're going to share, and you're going to get to see our lens through it. And we hope to just bring a different perspective that when life is lifing, we're not at the effect of it. It doesn't define us. And that, we can still look at situations, practice being what, Brian? Practice,
Equanimity.
yeah, not being at the effect of it, just being with what's so, and still being able to be powerful in that moment, right?
I'm a product of my circumstance, but my circumstances don't define me.
Yeah, yeah. No, I hear that, Joe. Yeah, and honestly, I think that's what happens, right? Frustration usually shows up, because something matters, right, in a moment. So
That's a good one. It's either we are a product put into a situation. What I heard there was reaction versus response. Like if I'm going to be a product of my situation, then I'm either reacting to it and just like being involved in it, not so e- equanimous. Maybe the word for it. Anyway, that's a philosophical. We can
right,
keep rolling.
look it up. It's a big intellectual word, as we get better. I think I did look it up at one point, right? The use of, practicing equanimity, right? Are you being equanimitous, right? That even a use? So we probably have to get some mastery over the language of it. So Joe, that'll be your job. Or BP, you want to take that on as we expand how to use the word as a
Yeah,
verb?
yeah, I'm bringing it up right now, and I am a wordsmith, and because a word doesn't exist, or doesn't mean it won't. We get enough circulation, we'll bring it up.
We have the Merriam-Webster dictionary and the BPW dictionary.
He's straight up.
And one of the things, I just want to share right about, I think, it happens lives, right? I think most people care, right? They care about something, right? And then that's kind of when the frustration will usually show up. So I think, like what I got from our conversations that, in those moments, I don't think it's like we want out or whatever. There's just, we want something more, right? There's something more. And then how do we stay in the lane to get to something more versus complaining about it or, whatever it is that just takes you off track. So I think a lot of people don't know how to have those conversations either. We avoid them, we silently drift, but
Yeah.
it's an opportunity, right, to, bring some completion to a conversation and create movement, in it. All right. So, and speaking of movement, Joe, right? I think one of the things you were talking about, like life doesn't stop moving.
Mm.
You were
Yeah,
sharing.
there's different stages of things too. It's not just like old conversation because you have the conversation starts at now there's awareness, but then there's also be changes and then resolution and just multiple stages a lot of times. It doesn't happen in one 5 minute thing, and then people would need to have tools to even execute and then persevere through all that and stay in the game versus all that stuff shows up breakdowns.
Yeah, you were sharing earlier, right? Like life isn't ordinary anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
And what
Conflict is ordinary. All species. I see the squirrels fighting in the trees, like gnarly fights too. Birds, everything.
Dude, you
It's
better
part of
believe
life.
I'm placing bets on them too. In fact, that's the next biggest thing. If y'all haven't seen it, my YouTube channel with backyard squirrel boxing, it's huge. And what are those two betting sites? There's something headquartered down in Mexico or something. I forget the name.
You've seen some squirrels going at it before too, gnarly.
Oh, well, I'm telling you, they're even getting their boxes sewn, their gloves sewn up out of.
Bro,
And
you see him jump from one log, one tree,
well,
to like
I'm gonna
50
tell you
feet in
this.
the middle. You're like, whoa, look at that guy to get away. It's like crazy.
The next thing is sponsorship. So if for all of you out there listening to backyard squirrel boxing, thank you, Joe, for bringing
Yeah,
that.
hey, that might be the next big thing, right? I think as people look for experiences, right? Like that's not ordinary. But Joe, you're talking about like, I think what did you say? Combat or war is ordinary. Is that what you said?
Yeah, sit in your backyard chair for an hour and just watch the animals. You're gonna see some stuff.
Yeah, we could watch war, in countries going on. Like it's Russia Ukraine war. You don't even hear about it, right? Apparently Trump has, I don't know, stopped a bunch of wars you never really hear about, right? It's There's some ordinary shit going on out there in the world that the news can share. And then, the UFC is like ordinary, right? To watch two guys go in and, pop it out and just, be masterful at what they do just to duke it out. And now you got some bare knuckle fighting where guys are just torching each other up. And
Guys and gals,
BP is going to start his boxing
my
match.
backyard squirrel boxing.
You could do mud wrestling with that one then for the
Well,
for the bare knuckle.
BP, it's interesting, right? It's not even ordinary. They sell these bird video camera systems, right? Like for you, because apparently on YouTube, bird watching is really, really big.
Yeah. I
Hmm.
think what it is if we're looking at new ways to the ways already exist, or there may be a new way to introduce the dopamine rush, or just something new to grab our attention. As far as backyard or well, bird watching in general, I mean, they've got what about the live cams here at the beach, or here's the intersection, the live traffic and everything, which
Right. Or the wilderness trails,
uh, I mean, it is. I mean, somebody who's housebound or something, being able to watch these cameras in real time, that can be a form of entertainment and therapeutic. I mean, if I'm housebound
Yeah, no, it's funny. So Joe, right? Like you were
without a
sharing.
window or without birds and
So Joe, you were sharing, right? Like life isn't ordinary, right? So what are just like some things that have changed, right? Like you say war is normal almost in a way,
Well,
or
let's say you're okay, you got the okay, so if I were to make a normal area of life, would not the Brady Bunch, but like or Little House on the Prairie, but like whatever is usual, like business as usual, but in a personal life with relationships and families and people, right? And when there's a conflict or a breakdown, and in the moment there's turmoil or breakage, let's say. But and then after a certain point in time, when somebody says, "I want this situation to be how it used to be," right? But then not everybody else or other people, they all have to think the same or want the same, right? And if they don't, this person's left in a state of they don't want to be there, but they're not held there by others, but they're just not in the same space as before. And they want you want to go through life with no mistakes. I want to go through life without any breakdowns, without any wasted time, without any bad relationships. But I just want everything to be good and work every time, all the time. I don't have to win every gambling hand of cards if I'm playing poker. That's different. I can win and lose those hands. But every experience in life, we go people, you want to be good in work. You want to get hired every time. You never want to get fired. It's just like things like that, I mean? It's like,
Yeah. Yeah, no. I hear you. I think a lot of people have like, somewhat similar experiences or different versions of it. You know,
yeah, yeah,
something changes and we find ourselves like wishing things could just go back to the way they were.
yeah.
I watched the Brady Bunch. That was a, pretty cool family, very different, right? Did I have those experiences? There was a simpler time in my life, right? But, maybe we all wish to go back to the way they were. But maybe, hey, listen, but maybe what we miss isn't the past,
Hey,
right?
Brian, the Brady Bunch TV show. I'm looking down at you, I'm looking at you, Brian, and then you look up to Angel. The TV show in the beginning, they'd all look around the squares. That's how this. Yeah, exactly. You just looked at me. All right,
That's how they became the Brady
that's
Bunch.
funny. All right, go
Something to
ahead.
that effect.
That was stupid. All right, go ahead.
But no, right. But more serious, right? Maybe it isn't like we just miss certainty, right? Because life only moves in one direction, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
embrace
without
conflict.
without bringing astrophysics into it, I suppose. Is that correct? Yes, it moves linear or cyclical. That's a cultural thing. The linear timeline and a cyclical timeline,
Yeah.
which
Uh, No, go ahead, BP.
well, it's so Asian philosophy, belief, or whatnot, or I cannot speak for Asians. I'm not Asian, and nor do I have a doctorate in it. Yet cyclical, like it's so night and day. It's not linear. It's not one point moving forward. It's just like there's a loop, right? It's a circle. It goes in circles. You got night. It's the opposite. It's the yin yang. If you think like death, reincarnation, and whatnot. So bringing that into the conversation as we're having a conversation. All right, I got
Well, listen, that could be a pretty esoteric, pretty intellectual conversation, right? Maybe that's why time just starts to feel different for everyone, right? Like we're trying to turn back the clock, but
well,
you know,
what I find fascinating about that is what I find fascinating about language is because how the world is perceived and then how it's communicated to someone else. So if you look in other like if in English I am hungry, yet in Spanish it's I have hunger. Because how can you be hungry? You're a person. You're not hungry. You're a person. So I'm having the feeling of having hunger. So to me, it fascinates me. And that came from cyclical, which came from linear, which came from it's only moving one direction. Take it away, Angel. It's back to you. And
yeah. Well, BP, hold on, you're bringing some heavy stuff in here, so you're probably because we're not experts in the conversation. You're gonna have to do a deep dive. We'll come back next week and start to understand time a little bit differently, right?
right.
Because I think what's clear, right, is like our relationship to time. I never even thought about like the way you just shared it.
Mm.
It's just an interesting conversation, how we all have a different relationship to it. Uh, you know, Joe, it's been on his mind, right? He's like wishing, you know, right, Joe? You're
Yeah,
wishing,
and our habits, because what we do with things in life are taking up our time. Our habits take up the time. Having good habits and bad habits. Like, how do we compartmentalize things that as they come to us in life? Our mail that doesn't have to be paid today or whatever. What do you do with that? How do you handle that? How much? It's weird. Like, I talked with Brian about that a few weeks ago. But we spend our time like money. Every day I get,
Joe began developing a program on habits because he has therapeutic obsessions, as we all do, really. We like ruminate, thinking on something, just I think about this all the time, on all the time, and whether
Mm.
we have obsessive thoughts, right? I'm thinking about. Anyway, the point being, Joe start habits. He talks about habits a lot because, and he has like this 24 something deal that has to do with if you're not doing this, you're losing this because we have to exchange our attention, our time and attention for something. So he's like, what are your habits? What do you spend your time on and such? And he asks you that, repeatedly. And to the point where one day I'm like, well, let me think about this. And I started writing things down. And I'm like, your program absolutely works, dude. You just proved it. I just proved it. We proved it. So uh, it is important.
the
yeah,
And
awareness. Yeah,
so the habits.
No, I hear that, right? Honestly, like I think losing things wakes people up, right? Time is one of those conversations.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Right? Life asks, what am I doing with the time I've been given?
Gratitude or regret, yeah. Or taking for granted, taking things for granted. Why do we have to? I learned from that losing it, then wanting it back, and I can't have it. It's the same thing we're just talking about, like ordinary, and things are not in place, and you want to go back in time. Oh man, and yeah, some people don't have to lose it to utilize it and be yeah, not take it for granted. And most people have, I think, come from they have to lose it, then they took it for granted, but it's too late now, and you can't go back. It's like fucked. There you go.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Like discipline starts becoming less about like punishment and more about self-respect, right? You start looking at time and you have the time
Discipline.
you have, right? And what do
Yep,
you do with that time?
exactly right. How do you control yourself? Are you gonna put 93 ingredients in the salad? Or are you gonna just put, let tomatoes, lettuce, and onions and get on to the next thing of the day and get more done? Because money. Look at if Elon Musk, for example, say I made as much money as he has right now, it would take me 9,000 years, probably, right? He did it. He only has 24 hours a day, and he's like 50 in his 50s. And he's accumulating. So it's clear to me the return for things where we invest our time or where we spend our time and what we get back for it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's an interesting conversation, right? As we're trying to figure out ourselves out, even in this, in this conversation, we're trying to figure ourselves out. You know, life is asking something different, right, from all of us, and including like our parents, like our family members, right? BP, you got stuff going on, right? We've been having conversations about like our aging parents, right? I have an aging parent,
Yeah.
that she's lived all this time. There's all this thing that, this just become a big conversation for me
Hmm.
too.
It's up front. It's definitely up front and in the face, in my face. And ignoring ignoring what's happening doesn't change it. And often, not engaging with it or being with it has a compound effect in my experience. There's absolutely some things you cannot run away from, or in doing so, just compounds the problem or compounds what's happening.
Yeah, yeah.
So
No, I hear that, right? Like nobody, I don't think anyone prepares anyone like for this season, right? Like the aging of our parents. One day they're young, they're fruitful, they're totally independent, they're caring for us or however they're with us, right? And then one day, life's asking us to be strong or to become strong for them or to do something for them, right? And then it all starts to look a little different, right? Love starts to look a little different. Discipline starts to look a little different. Support, the conversation about time starts to look a little different, right? So maybe showing up becomes enough, and we're talking about new relationships to time, right? And maybe what is 24 hours a day. You were talking about cyclical, we're talking about aging parents, generational, right? And maybe what are the new relationship to time is like, hey, the time is right now. What we have
Yeah,
right now
huh?
is the time,
that's
right? Like, this is
That's
the
the new time. Yeah.
time. And the only time we have is this X moment in time.
what it is.
Yeah,
Um,
so we got the US standard system, the European metric, and then we have ours now. This is always right now. That's the time, and we are creating the new standard, sta our own definition, our new time signature, whatever it's called.
Is that the black glasses
that
lens, right? That's our lens, right?
that's an
Just
interesting concept.
take a
Yeah,
vote.
looking at the relationship to time or just relationship with you
Yeah.
heard it here first.
But you know what though, Angel, and also that is actually the correct answer. It's always been right now. The time is always right now, no matter what the time. If there is no time of
Time to
nine
get a
o'clock,
good flight. There's no good time to get a what, Joe?
it's never been anything other than right now.
There's never a good time to get a
It's
flat
always
tire.
been right now. That's
Okay.
Yeah.
been the time forever. It's always been right now.
Like this conversation makes time feel real, right? Like,
Yeah, it is
us.
right now. And right now is right. Yeah, exactly. It's always right now. That's the actual time, not 9 p.m. or tomorrow 9 p.m. on the calendar.
And I'm experiencing the the way our conversation, the three of us, started off an hour ago to where it is now is completely different. And I'm not talking about the topics, I'm talking about my experience, like within my body and myself, because that was just like, it just wasn't right. And it's like, then we started talking. So it's like what communication can do, how powerful it really is. And even if we're not talking about what didn't quite work out right or whatever, we're in communication, we're talking about another topic, which can then lead back to, okay, what didn't work again? So where I'm going with this is, for me to be clear, is there's a disagreement between you and someone, and then like we had, it wasn't a disagreement, but there was like, okay, this isn't working. And I'm feeling like, oh, okay, come on, just chill out. Okay, we're gonna work through this. Then we start talking, and we're not talking about what happened and didn't work. We're talking about life, and life is life, like, and then this relatedness of like, oh yeah, okay, I get that. And then what I was feeling in my body's kind of gone away. And now it's like, if we were to re-engage with what we started before the broadcast, it would go completely different. Does this make sense?
Yeah,
Or it
no,
could, just because I'm feeling different. So I know I'm feeling
well,
different, my thoughts and how what I'm gonna say.
so for us, it makes sense. For someone out there, that's listening, for the millions of listeners that are listening to this Black Classes podcast with Angel, Brian, and Joe, which is we bring
Mhm.
them to a conversation about life is lifing. There's the ordinary way of being in it, and we're looking at those ways of being it, right? We're human, and then we're
Mhm.
looking at the conversations where we grow and find power, like be with what's so, and not be at the effect of it. And BP talking about before we started this call, we're looking at the three of us, and we're having conversations about what works and what doesn't work. It takes a lot of courage to have a conversation with people like that, because you got to be straight, you got to make requests to one another. That's why uphill, but we all have a commitment to being on this conversation, sharing, working in an organized format. So we're just not ranting and raving, right? So that we're having good content conversations, giving a good mix, able to move into topics, keep other people interested for the millions of listeners that are listening to us. Joe, are we at 1 million listeners yet, or one or two?
It's 914,712. We're almost
Right.
there.
That's a real future. But listen, here's the crazy part, right? So we've been talking and time is going, right? At the same time, the world keeps speeding up, right? We're talking, there's still Iran war going on. The World Cup is playing, the NBA Nick championship game against the San
Worlds
Antonio.
are boxing.
It's still moving, right? The world still keeps speeding up.
Yes, yeah, crazy.
The
Yep.
Black Glasses podcast is the time is right now. And that's the time.
Yes, that's right. That's the world time, universal time right now.
So
Proxima
look,
Centauri.
and most likely everyone is feeling, that kind of pressure, right? We look at time, right? That conversation is going on, and I think
Yeah,
everybody thinks someone else has figured it out, right?
yeah,
I know we're watching everybody else, everybody else is watching everybody else. And maybe some of that comparison is what, steals time and creation. Because we're
yeah.
all watching everyone else. We stop building our own lives.
Yeah, and we're not necessarily, it's not, you're not a bad person to be in a conflict or to have a you're not, conflict is normal. That's part, look at all the animals, right? We talk that all fight and, whatever. So you got that. And then another thing I heard one time on a TV show, they're saying how even people Charles Manson or killers, let's say, even they want to be loved and connected with people, right? Everybody has this inherent want to be connected to others, regardless if we'd call it a negative page or a positive page, but everybody wants to be connected to somebody else and have things work. They don't want to. Nobody's out to have nothing to make things not work around them everywhere all day long their whole life. No matter what they're up, even if they're doing a bad thing, they still want to be connected with others and have it work. So everybody's looking for everything to work. Everybody wants everything to work regardless of who you are. Um,
Yeah, Charles Manson just wanted it to work a whole different way.
for what he was doing, yeah, and it's so when he was doing his thing, let's say, and somebody was against him and they're arguing in the room, use this, not that, or over here, over there, and he's like, no, I want to do it over here. That was a conflict, right? But he still wanted to be connected. Yeah, so it's weird. So it's a normal thing to want to be connected to others, and it's
He
also usual to have
he
conflict.
if I understand correctly and remember correctly, he liked to move furniture around. He was all about the aesthetics of a person's home.
Really?
They,
That's
they would go into people's houses at night while they were sleeping and rearrange their furniture. So when you wake up in the morning, your house has been moved around. Like nothing stolen, nobody hurt. It's just psychologically what just happened while I was sleeping.
we'll have to do a deep dive that we brought up Charles Manson now,
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
our episodes, and we can jump into the whole Candace Owen wing and all those other influencers that talk about things like that. We'll start bringing in the Charles Manson effect or something like
Yeah, I'll reflect on what the TV, what there is, a documentary type thing I was watching, and I didn't say it right now exactly what they were talking about, so I'll try to get clear on that too, so I can say it the way.
Well, listen, the conversation brings me back to like one thing, right? Even Charles Manson, who, not to, I don't know the whole story. I know a little bit about Charles Manson, right? Like who he was, but I think, we're saying his life is a game for everyone. Like Charles
Mm.
Manson went in and rearranging people for it. Like that was a game, that he was playing, right?
Serial killers, Ted Bundy, anybody, just yeah, and everybody, yeah,
So,
everybody.
so life is a game and everyone's in it, right? So I hear you both,
Mhm.
right? So I think like trying to become perfect in this world is probably a little crazy, right? Because there's a lot of stuff going on out there. But I think, it's asking us, if anything, to become intentional, right? Like that's the opportunity because like it just doesn't stop. Time doesn't stop.
Yeah,
People
dude,
don't stop
never
aging.
stops.
People like Charles Manson, wars, it's all becoming normal. And,
Everything's connected.
BP is going to make squirrel fighting in the backyard, really popular and normal. That's going to become a big thing right now.
Squirrel mud wrestling, but even Angel, everything is connected because when you're talking right now, what occurred to me was like the next a topic that's connected to the one you were saying, and then the next word connected to the one that my mind was connecting, and everything is connected. Like this whole podcast has an episode, every episode has a top an agenda, let's say, right? And every agenda can have the whole world universe in there. It's like, how do you define a topic? Because it ends up, everything is still connected and a part of everything. It's crazy. Like I'm trying to stay on a topic in my mind, and then I think to myself, but then there, I could this all these things, everything can be said about everything in a sense. If you have an understanding of everything, you can. It's all connected. It's all the same story. It's the same thing. There's one picture on the wall, and that's the universe, and that's it looks the same for everybody. We're just describing it differently, but it's the same picture. One person says it's ugly, another person says it's pretty. The meaning comes from within, but the picture's the same.
Yeah. What about you, BP? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, everything's connected in one form or another. To think that, let's say 300 years ago, like if I was alive 300 years ago, well, like the sun goes up and the sun goes down, and like in a way, I'm connected to somebody 300 years ago or 3,000 years ago because it's a planet, it's the planet Earth, as I've been told, and like the sun went up and the sun went down, and the sun went up and the sun went down, and whether that's linear from 3,000 years ago to today, or if you look at it cyclical, like there was this up and then a down and an up and then a down. Uh, so am I still alive? Was I alive? Are they still alive from 3,000 years ago? 'Cause it's still that same kind of, there was no like shut off switch. Like the earth was here. There was one point on the earth, and then the sun
Mhm.
came up and the sun went down and went up. And if 3,000 years ago that person was still here, they'd be like, yeah, that
Everything's always been here. We've always been here, yourself and me, and you won't die.
we
Second
need
you
we
die, you're
need
still going to be
we
something.
need to get some experts. Or this podcast is really starting to blow up in like birthday candle way.
Yeah, we'll start, when we hit our million subscribers and our viewers, then we'll start bringing enough of the experts and they'll want to come into our podcast.
Well,
So
they'll help us get to the million.
we'll listen, BP. I think what's clear about what he said, right? 3,000 years, the world just doesn't stop changing, right? And maybe what matters isn't like trying to get back to it, right? Maybe what matters is what we talk about is we decide who we're going to become from right here, right? Like the time is right now, right? Like
Mhm.
life thing. We practice equanimity. We have this moment right now. And then what matters is like deciding who we're going to become right now from here. And that's what time it is. What do you think,
Yeah,
Joe?
we could define it several
All the
ways,
time.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So we're gonna call it a day here from the Black Classes podcast. Thank you everyone for listening to Joe, Angel, and Brian. We're
Yeah,
gonna
we work about 20 minutes a day, and we don't want our listeners to get jealous, but yeah, we're effective, right?
we have some promises to make, right? So what are we at our viewership is low, our listening audience is low, but stay tuned for the Black Classes podcast because we're coming to change the world, baby.
Woo.
Everyone have a good
All
day.
right. Thank you.
Sure.
Bye-bye.